So spooky season is fast approaching, and I thought what a better way to start it off than with this pretty good horror film that came out not too long ago. You may have heard of it. It's called Obsession, which basically follows a guy named Bear who uses this thing called a wish willow, which basically makes any wish you make come true. And this guy decides to make his friend called Nikki, who he has a crush on by the way, love him as much as he loves her, which leads to horrific consequences. And that's basically the plot of the whole story. The film sure knows how to use the lighting because it uses the lighting in such a fantastic way to create suspense and horror and tension, especially in the scene where Nikki is just standing in the dark. That shit's very unnerving. But before we get into how fucked in the head Bear is, I'm just gonna criticize his wish first because bro's out here asking for love instead of $1 billion. Like, to me, that sounds way better than some chick falling in love with me because then I'd never have to worry about paying rent or buying groceries for the rest of my life. And before we get into Bear's messed up character for the rest of this whole video, I'm going to say the only thing that Nikki did wrong, and that's how she didn't establish how she felt towards Bear. Because Nikki, we later find out in the film from Bear's other friends, is that it seems like Nikki sees him as more of a friend or like a brother. So that was really her only mistake, because if she stated how she felt about Bear and made her stance on their relationship clear, Bear would have, sure, he would have been hurt, but hey, fucking move on, right? There's plenty of fish out in the sea. And it probably wouldn't have led to Bear also making this horrible wish. But let's just get into the meat and potatoes of this video, and that's with Bear. So, from the start, Bear is depicted as a fucking loser. He's asking his friend for help on how he should confess his feelings to Nikki, which, you know, it's pretty relatable. Not all us guys are confident in expressing our feelings towards the person we like. And, you know, bro's homie is trying his best to help him out the best way he can. I mean, it's not 100% useful, but hey, at least he's trying his best to help out his homeboy. He also just comes off as being a nice guy, too. But in the next scene, you kind of see how Bear isn't as good of a person. You kind of see how he reacts to his cat dying. I don't know how you leave your pills out on the counter like this. It kind of feels like this is on you for leaving your house in a bit of a disarray like that. But who in the actual fuck puts their dead pet in a trash bag? Like, if this was my cat, I would rush him to the vet. I'd see what was wrong with him. And even if I knew he were dead, I'd wrap them up in a blanket and put him in a box until I can get him like a little coffin, right? To put him in a pet cemetery. It doesn't really feel like he gives as much of a shit as depicted in the film. And then we see later on that night how he doesn't really put any thought into buying Nikki a new necklace when she loses hers. He just buys her this wish willow, which seems like a bit of a cop-out. Oh, here's a little cool gift I found at a gift shop, rather than putting any thought into getting her a gift. But oh well, later on when he's dropping off Nikki, he can't even grow a pair and admit how he feels about her. And she sets him up too. She asks him if he likes her, and he says no. That was your final chance to really tell her how you feel, because she's moving soon. So rip the band-aid off, dude. Just tell her how you feel. And then after he uses his wish willow to make Nikki fall in love with him, obviously Nikki starts acting strange. And the first thing this guy does isn't to ask if she's okay or if she needs to talk about something because she's going through something in her life. He asks, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're not okay. You're acting weird, so stop it. Do you like this girl or not? Because I wouldn't say what the fuck is wrong with you to a girl I liked. I'd be concerned about her. It just feels like Bear is in love with the ideal version of Nikki in his head, not who Nikki really is as a person. And we even later find out that who Bear thinks Nikki is isn't really who she is, because he doesn't even know aspects about her life as much as he thinks he does, because he doesn't even know her terrible relationship with her father. She fucking hates her dad. Her other friends know this. Literally, her other two friends who we see in the film know this about her, but he doesn't, which shows that Bear doesn't really actually know who Nikki is. And when Nikki sleeps over at his house, she asks Bear if he can sleep with her, and he doesn't even hesitate. He's like, oh, okay, sure. Even if this girl was like begging me, if I was in this scenario, I would sleep on the floor at best if she was begging me, before I'd like sneak out and sleep in the living room, because the couch is a lot more comfier than the hardwood flooring. And it's especially awkward because Nikki sleeps in her underwear. Like, I'd be way too uncomfortable sleeping in the same room. A few seconds later, we see when Nikki kisses him, we see that the real Nikki comes out for a second and, you know, freaks the fuck out because she's not actually in control of her body. And we see Bear immediately redirect the blame and throw that shit right at her, saying it was she who kissed him. It's like, bro, what the fuck is the matter with you? You didn't have to kiss her. You could have just been like, no, this is way too weird. Are you sure you're okay? And as the movie goes along, we obviously see Nikki become more stranger in her behavior. And when they're at the restaurant, when Bear gets a call from his friend, who's a real good friend, honestly, he tells him how Nikki lied about her dad having cancer and how he heard through the grapevine that she only sees Bear as a friend. And he also remarks how, yeah, it's very strange that Nikki's acting like a different person, which leads to Bear go on a train of thought towards his wish willow, right? The wish he made, and how it's actually real and working. So he knows that this isn't really who Nikki is. It's his wish coming to life. Because we see a scene earlier that he was searching up if wish willows worked. Because he was on the fence thinking, because now my friend's acting strange after I made this wish, right? So he's questioning if it does work, which makes the next scene after the restaurant a lot more worse and shows him as fucking evil because he basically takes advantage of her in a grapes, or I don't know if I can really say that word. He full on takes advantage of her, because before I would say he wasn't, because he didn't fully know if the wish worked. So when they were intimate, I give him just a little bit of a pass on that. But now, fucking hell no, this guy's fucked in the head. In a later scene when Bear and his friend are in the car and they're talking about Nikki, and his friend brings up how it feels like Nikki's going through something and Bear's taking advantage of her, which I mean, he sure as hell is. And when he calls the number on the wish willow, he doesn't even cancel his wish. This scumbag says if he could change the wish, not cancel. The audacity of this motherfucker. He knows that this wish works and that the real Nikki is trapped inside this fake Nikki taking control. When they're sleeping and the real Nikki comes out and asks Bear to kill her because she's obviously not in control of her body and is literally watching herself be controlled and she's just powerless to do anything. This asshole makes it about himself, saying, is it so bad to be with him? Are you fucking out of your mind? This girl isn't in control of herself. This isn't the real Nikki who's giving you all this love and attention. And I would say this was probably the last opportunity for Bear to do anything right in this film, because we just kind of see him do everything wrong at every single turn. And then when he meets up with his friend, she really likes Bear for who he is. Like, Bear absolutely knew that meeting up with this chick would have gotten her killed. So yeah, this is on you, Bear. Like, you killed this poor innocent chick. He should have already knew Nikki was unhinged, not just by the fact that she taped up the door to make sure he couldn't leave, but also at the way she acted at the party. The very last, I guess, scene at the end of the film where Bear decides to take his own life to save Nikki, to release her, right? From her torment. He doesn't even do that right. He fucking chickens out because right before we hear the wish willow break, because you can hear it, the fake Nikki makes a wish to make Bear love her. Before, like, she made this wish, he ran in the bathroom to try to take his own life with a pistol and didn't because he was a coward, and then he took the pills, but then we quickly see him attempt make himself gag and throw that shit back up. It just shows how Bear's been a shitty character throughout this whole film, and I can't even blame when Nikki finally gets in control of her body that she is so disgusted at Bear that she pushes him away from her because, I mean, yeah, this guy basically ruined her life. So yeah, Bear's a shitty dude and ruined a poor innocent girl's life, all because this guy couldn't say I like you. But yeah, other than that, this movie's pretty fucking good. Recommend, if you never watched it, to watch it. I hope we get more films like this with a lot of heart put into them. But that's all I gotta say. Bye.